Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me, as always, my co-host, Tate Mathews. Tate, man, it's hard to believe that we are in week 4 of football. 4 weeks already down. Before we get into football, let's talk real quick. We got golf district tournament at Greystone this coming up week for the AAA group for our Big Six. Hard to believe right now that they're already at the district tournament point of the golf. Brentwood right now probably easy early favorite going into the golf tournament.
Yeah, you know Brentwood and Ravenwood are going to be up there, but hey, our other guys got really good golf teams too, but it's just so tough to beat those two. But yeah, hard to believe, man, that the fall is flying by. We're getting ready to have week 5 on Friday. Time flies when you're having fun.
Halfway point had fall in the air this week as you go, on Friday night. You could feel that Christmas coming through all weekend. Love this time of the year. The AA group will start their tournament at Montgomery Bell State Park next week. Colin Lamb, WCS Sports Conference intern right now of Page High School, is ranked #1 cross-country runner in the state of Tennessee. I think their team is ranked 6th. Their girls' team's also ranked pretty high. We have some I know that Brentwood cross-country team as well is ranked high, so as they're winding their schedule down and going into the year, the cross-country teams, I would say the WCS Sports Conference are probably favorites to win the state championships.
Yeah, they are. Taylor Vroon out of Brentwood, he's another really good one. We've always been good at cross-country, but you can bet, I don't know who it's going to be yet, but we will be well represented come cross-country state meet time.
Absolutely. Soccer on the same token, girls soccer right now. Ravenwood, Independence right now, the 2 top favorites coming out of the WCS Sports Conference, followed by Brentwood, Franklin, and Centennial and Summit. Once again, always making noise on the soccer side of things.
Yeah, we are. And anytime Franklin and Brentwood are in it, don't count them out yet.
Absolutely. Let's get to the football side of things. They had a big week this week, full slate of games. Coach Hughes, Fairview Yellow Jackets, biggest win of the year for those guys up in this point. 2-2, 2-0 in the region, turnaround, go to Waverly. Not a lot of people have given them a chance. Matter of fact, I'm not sure that you picked them.
I didn't.
Yellow Jackets stung Waverly 34-25.
Big win, and I believe that's the most points they've scored all year long. And outside of Page, probably the best team they've played so far. But Waverly was undefeated. They're explosive, scoring a lot of points. A lot of people thought they were a really good football team. They are a really good football team. But that was a big win. But, we talked about it after the Page game. We knew that offense wasn't quite right. But week by week, they've gotten it better, and now you see scoring 34 points against a team like Waverly. If they can continue to do that, and they should, they got a chance to win some more ball games.
Right, they could be easily sitting at 3-1 right now. They turned around and got beat by Creekwood after the Page game. Didn't play their best game. Creekwood came from behind, beat them 17-14. Now they're sitting at 2-2. Coach Hughes feels like he's got things going the right way. Waverly, athletic, been putting up tons of points. That program has been turned around. To go in there at Waverly and beat them 34-25, pretty stunning, but a great win for the Yellow Jackets.
Good thing is, I think they've been on the road a lot, it feels like, early on. So I think these next few games and second half of the season, most of them are going to be at home. So that's a good thing, too. Absolutely.
Page travels to Forest over in Chapel Hill, who was undefeated also. Understand that Forest is a AA program right now going against 4A Page, but that's always, for whatever reason, been some sort of a little bit of a rivalry there between Page. Good tester for them, not a great night as far as the weather was concerned. Rain was coming down. Came out of there with a 14-12 victory.
Yeah, that's one of those games that Forest always seems to play Page tough, you're right. And then the weather didn't play into Page's favor, but went down there, got the win against an undefeated Rockets team. Dylan Myers, 15 tackles. Michael Roberts, 12 tackles. That tells me 2 things. Those guys played really well, and Forrest ran a lot of offensive snaps. But, hey, 14-12, at the end of the year, nobody's going to care what that final score was. That was a good win.
Another thing on Michael Roberts, star both ways, offensively and defensively. Michael Magochi right now, good enough. I feel good enough, and I think you would agree, good enough to start on any of the Big Six schools, probably anywhere in the state right now. One of the best top quarterbacks there are.
And a few of them would love to have him. More than start. I mean, they'd take him.
Absolutely. Page sitting at 3-1 right now, 1-0 in the region. Now, how easy could Page be sitting at 4-0?
Very easy. I mean, 2-point conversion away against, now Lipscomb's a good team, and you were on the road. There was a lot going on that night. None of us are in the excuse-making business, neither is Coach Rathbone. But they were a 2-point play away. I understand why they did it. But sometimes a loss like that early on, that helps you. You know, it helps you kind of refocus things, and you're better off later on in the year. So, you know, if that's the worst that happens to them, they're going to be all right.
Absolutely. Don't sleep on the Pats. I'm telling you right now, Page is poised right now to get themselves, continue getting better. They have some interesting games coming up. We'll talk a little bit later about Giles County being in there, Marshall County being in there. That'd be a true test of what kind of team Page is. But I'm interested to see how that folds out for the Page Patriots. Brentwood versus Franklin. At Franklin, the original WCS rival, 31 years in the making. Brentwood 1-3, 1-0 in the region, lost to Franklin, who's 2-2, puts them at 500, 21-13. Once again, I chose Brentwood in this. I really thought that they were kind of crossing past there, but Franklin just kind of seems to come up from out of nowhere to beat Brentwood.
I think if anybody in the Big Six and anybody really in the Mid-State, you look at that first game, 20-0 loss by the Rebels to Centennial. I think Coach Webb's team has gotten better, most improved, I guess, over the first 4 weeks. They keep getting better. Again, they didn't even score a point in the first round. Came back. Tough win against Brentwood anytime these two are together. We knew it was going to be a lot of defense when you got Ron Crawford and Donnie Webb in there. The weather obviously wasn't in favor of the offenses. There were only 124 passing yards between the two teams in the whole game. So that kind of tells you what that game was about. Good win for Franklin. Kyle Evans, the quarterback, he keeps getting better. The quarterback for the Rebels, he keeps getting better.
Speaking of Kyle Evans, here's the WCTV Play of the Week, Kyle Evans touchdown pass.
Evans wide open is Rossi.
There it is.
And he can bull over some young men, and he
Mitch
does.
Rossi.
Touchdown, Mitch Rossi, a 13-yard Evans to Rossi catch, and that is going to extend the lead after the Bruins turnover.
Nice job coming out of the flat right there. Mitch did a good job collecting the ball. He knew he was going to take a couple of licks as he went into the end zone, but he had the strength, he had the stamina. He held on to the ball and gives Franklin a little bit more cushion here at 13-6.
Well, great play call by the Rebels.
Absolutely. Craddock, the workhorse for the majority of the night, and Brentwood certainly not expecting that as Mitch Rossi takes it in from about 6 yards away.
That play kind of sums it up for me right there. It was a simple, not necessarily a simple pass, but they broke two tackles right there to put them up a touchdown that could have been the game-changing touchdown.
Yeah, it was, and he put it. We were mentioning Kyle earlier. It wasn't a great 80-yard bomb on the money, but he put it where it needed to be. Got it to him on time. That was a good play call by Coach Winfrey, and then gets in the end zone. So those are the things they're going to have to do to keep winning games. Obviously, Brentwood's going to have to shore up that tackling, but they will.
Brentwood Franklin, we talked about that, the original WCS rival game all the way back to 1985 now. That's for bragging rights. Now, implications of this could hurt them possibly for home playoff seeding if it comes down to a tiebreaker and looking at non-conference scheduling. But this game has zero implications because obviously Franklin has punched their ticket, Super 32 in 6A. Brentwood trying to get their thing, get their team on track for that 5A, one of those top 4 spots. I still believe that Brentwood is going to make one of those top 4 spots in 5A football.
I do too.
Number 1 in the state right now, Independence, Indy Nation, 4-0, 1-0 in the region, beat Smyrna, who was also undefeated, 3-0 coming in, puts them at 3-1, 21-7 without their starting quarterback, Andrew Bunch, who misses the second week with an injury. Probably will miss this week for the border battle, going into the bye week, looking at 4 weeks of getting himself ready to go, coming back. I mean, to go in and beat Smyrna, who's undefeated with a backup quarterback, what does that tell you about Scott Blade's team?
Very good. And the things that are really impressive, we already knew they could throw the ball. We knew they had receivers. We knew all that. The question mark going in, and I think everybody but maybe Coach Blade, I thought this was a question mark, was the defense. And they've played lights out all year long. Smyrna's a good football team who can move the ball, run the ball. So I think the most impressive thing is how well the defense has played first few weeks. And then now Adam Swayze at quarterback is a big part of this, but they had 167 yards rushing against Smyrna. That's against a good defense. So they're running the ball well. When Bunch gets back, that passing game is going to be firing on all cylinders. But you can't say enough about Adam Swayze. 2-0 as the starting quarterback. Like you said, he might get another start again this week. But and then another thing that you got to love if you're Scott Blade, we know about the quick strike offense. Boom, to Johnson, take it to the house. Opening drive was 17 plays for 74 yards, 5-yard touchdown catch by Seth Huner. 17-play drive, that's good for anybody. Had to be happy, Coach Blade, to see that.
Well, you got to sit back and think. All right, let's talk about philosophy for just a minute. Coach Blade's going into the border battle week this week, the rivals week for WCS Summit. Now, the Indy Nation would like to think that this is not much of a rival game. This is going to be a pretty easy win for them. Then you look down the rest of the schedule. This is a good game for them. This is a good indicator of where they are. However, you hate to look too far ahead. The region play that they're going to be in is not very stout. Let's just be honest. It's not very, very strong. If they run the table and they continue playing like they will, I suspect that there's not much of any hurdles there. You have to be thinking, what are we doing internally to continue to get ourselves mentally prepared and ready for the playoffs to make that 5A state championship run? And
that's hard to do. And one thing he talks about is it's good for them conditioning-wise, but, we don't know who they're going to see come playoff time. The great thing about what they do on offense is when it's clicking, man, it's hard to stop. And like we were talking with him on the coach's preview show a few weeks ago, he feels like they're in a little bit better shape because they're going up against that every day, so they're conditioning all the way through practice. They see a Henderson. That's why a Hendersonville matchup is always so tough for Independence, and vice versa. Independence is tough for Hendersonville. But you're kind of hoping that they stay away from those kind of guys. First part of the playoffs, they'd like to see maybe more of a passing team come playoffs, at least the first couple rounds.
Well, this is a bad year, if you want to say, for timing-wise, for the WCS Sports Conference to be split up, because you would love to run that gauntlet this year with this team. You get a couple losses, so what? You're ready for the playoffs to get in there because, it's like last year I think we made, or at least I did, kind of overlooked how good was our conference. We didn't really know. We're beating ourselves up. Like the SEC, we made those comparisons a lot last year. And then when we get out, look how good, things were for our teams. Now, you've got to play this game going in. Do you steal a game right here with Summit? Do you think confidently enough that Swayze can get us into that bye week to get Bunch even healthier? You hate for any slip-ups to come. It's just an interesting mental game that you have to play, not only with yourself, but with your team to keep them mentally sharp. And there's another team down the road that we're fixing to talk about in just a second that's going to be right there. It's going to be one of those hurdles come playoff time. Summit, Old Sparty, 1-3, 0-1. Lost to Lebanon. We really thought this is a game they could have won. I think turnovers were a big part of this game. They got beat 41-3. This is one of those losses that you got to ask yourself, Coach Coleman, which direction are we going? We don't want to fall back into the trap of losing every week, and then all of a sudden you're losing that edge and that want to win. Maybe they can get this game behind them, but then when it happens, they have to follow it up with Indy.
Right. That's tough. And, I know I was guilty of it. I think we looked at Lebanon's record and kind of maybe underestimated them, but they're a 6A program. They're in the third year of the coaching tenure of Sam Harp. That doesn't mean anything to people here, but he's from Kentucky. The guy won 7 state championships in Kentucky. He was a runner-up 3 times. He's a good football coach. This is his third year. He's been getting them better, and they had a very explosive player named Jaron Stewart, and Summit saw that up close and personal on Friday night. He had 123 rush yards, 134 pass yards. So, again, 41-3, that's not what Coach Coleman was looking for. But don't look at last year's 0-10 record of Lebanon, and they're a much improved football team.
And the same can be said about about Old Sparty. I mean, don't look at 0-10's last year record and think, oh, here comes another Spartan letdown. This team is battling. This team is competing. This team is there. They've got their win already, 1 win. I still think there's at least 1 more, maybe even 2 more wins left on the schedule. This one I would love to have seen them win, but we talked about the wing T offense. You ever get behind, it's not exactly friendly to catch up. You have to be running the ball well to try to stay ahead or stay even there and keep the game close. I still think there's some wins left for Old Sparty. I'm not sure. We'll talk about that later in the pick'ems that this week is going to happen with the border battle. We'll talk about that later. Summit falls to 11 and 41-3. Last but not least, I'm not sure Vegas would have picked this one either. Centennial 3-1, 1-0 in the region beats Ravenwood. First WCS loss in the Will Hester era for Ravenwood, 30-13, folks. I'm telling you right now, I know that Coach Hester's not happy about it. His team got hit in the mouth from the moment we stepped on the field. We talked about it at WCS Game Day live at Centennial. If Centennial comes out and strikes first and strikes off in the first half, Ravenwood has a hard time. Haven't even had any opportunity in the 2 years that Will Hester's been there from playing from behind, and they are a second-half team.
Yeah, and we talked about it. They both like to be physical, even though they're spread. And one, they both wanted to come out and prove early on who was more physical. Centennial did it. So, it was just one of those things. It seemed like all the breaks went against the Raptors, and Centennial played so well. You cannot say enough about Centurion DeRoe. First start as a quarterback, he's been playing wide receiver. Only 3 completions. He had 117 yards. One of them was that 87-yard touchdown pass to Austin Waddell at the beginning, first quarter. That was huge. That got them started off on the right foot. It got them in the lead. And, you can't say enough about the way the defense played. 6 turnovers, I believe, turned it over on downs twice and a fumble. Coach Hester will tell you can't win when you do that, especially against a team like Centennial. But, you got to remember, don't just discredit what the Centennial defense did. There was a reason why they turned the ball over that much.
Absolutely. Tyrell Dodson, breakout game for him. Had a pick 6 early on, 50-something yards for that pick 6. Interception there, had 2 other touchdowns, had 3 total touchdowns for the night. Looked like the SEC caliber player that we've all been knowing, to seeing him as last year came and this year as well throughout the games. This was kind of his breakout game for this year. I really think that Coach Rector is to be commended when those kids took the game, took the field for the game. It was no doubt in my mind in Cougar Nation that Centennial was going to win that game.
Yeah, they were. They played confident and they played hard, and it paid off. They obviously they knew they weren't going to be able to win the game in the air passing, even though they had the big touchdown play. But they stayed with it. They knew they were going to have to wear them down. They kept running the ball, even though they weren't doing it very successfully in the first half. Kept wearing them down, and then in the second half, those plays, the 2-yarders, 3-yarders, they started turning it into 5, 6. Good healthy dose of Tyrell Dodson and Mondu Sawyers. And again, DeRoe, he managed, you hear that all the time, he managed the game. The most important thing he had to do was not get them beat. He didn't get them beat.
Well, the 3-headed monster of Rapay, Jeffries, Rowland never could get to the corners, never could get those plays. The defense kept stretching out, never could get an opportunity to turn those corners. So hats off to Centennial. Coach Rector's got that group. Indy Nation better watch out, because I'm telling you, down the road, these two teams are going to face off probably in a playoff game, and you talk about an electric atmosphere. Now, this atmosphere is as good as I've seen one in high school football. Every media outlet was there. Channel 30 was my TV. Channel 30 was there doing the game. You had Channel 4, Channel 5, all of them were there. All the radio stations. Weather was perfect. The rain kind of dampened a little bit of the crowd, but Ravenwood traveled well. Great game. Centennial wins 30-13. When we come back, we're going to do our region roundup. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WCS Sports Connection. All right, Tate, let's get right into it. Region roundup. Region 3, 6A, Mount Juliet moves to 1-3, 0-1 in the region, beat Franklin County 51-12. Franklin 2-2, beat Brentwood 21-13. McGavick 2-2, 1-0 in the region, lost to Cane Ridge 33-14. 11-2-1, 0-1 in the region, beat Summit 41-3. Overton 3-1, 1-0 in the region, beat Lipscomb Academy 33-14. Wilson Central improves to 3-1, 1-0 in the region, beating Siegel 46-29. Antioch's 0-3 right now, had to bye. And Ravenwood, as we said, lost to Centennial. What game in that Region 3, 6A football sticks out to you?
11-41 Summit 3. Not so much that they beat them, but that they beat them like that. I did not think that would happen.
Absolutely.
Region 7, 5A, Dixon beat Spring Hill 49-42. Clarksville Northeast beat Kenwood 34-6. West Creek lost to Clarksville Northwest 27-12. Clarksville beat Springfield 21-17. You mentioned the Brentwood-Franklin game, 21-13 for the Rebels. Rossview beat Station Camp 26-20. Centennial and Ravenwood, Centennial 30-13. Henry County beat Gallatin 42-0. What sticks out to you?
Well, I've got two right now. Henry County right now is what the old Japanese general said in World War II. I think we've woken the beast when they bombed Pearl Harbor. Could Henry County be getting themselves poised back, ready, that old Henry County that we know? Another one that sticks out to me is Clarksville improving to 4-0, beating Dustin Wilson's club right there at Springfield. Clarksville might be pretty good, better than what people are giving them credit for.
I'm looking forward to the Centennial Clarksville game.
Absolutely. Region 5, 5A, the southern portion of the Big Six. Lincoln County 2-1 beat Giles County 48-7. Summit 1-3, lost to Lebanon. Stewart's Creek 2-2, 0-1 in the region, loses to Laverne 35-21. Shelbyville improves to 4-0, want to know that passing attack, beating Tullahoma 50-0. Columbia 3-1, 0-1 in the region, beats Lawrence County 21-16. Franklin County 1-3, loses to Mount Juliet 51-12. Laverne beats Stewart's Creek 35-21 to improve to 3-1. Of course, as we talked about earlier, Independence still undefeated 4-0, beating Smyrna. What sticks out?
Not a surprise, but Shelbyville beating Tullahoma 50-0, which we thought would happen. But I think Shelbyville's pretty good. Shelbyville, Indy, man. If Bunch is healthy, that could be an exciting game, man.
Over/under could be set at 115. Right. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there?
Region 4, 4A, Spring Hill, we mentioned, lost to Dixon County 49-42. Page beat Forest 14-12. Lawrence County lost to Columbia 21-16. Tullahoma and Shelbyville 50-0. Shelbyville. Giles and Lincoln County 48-7. Lincoln County. Marshall County beat East Nashville 24-8.
Got several that sticks out. East Nashville, maybe up and down, has been good. Marshall County looks to be a very, very good football team. On top of that, Spring Hill losing to Dixon 49-42. It's the tale of two tapes here. Is Dixon getting better, or is Spring Hill in a tailspin?
I think both. I think Spring Hill is in a tailspin.
Well, Giles County as well. Add them to the list. 0-4 right now. That's good for Page. Getting ready to go through that region. Region 6, 3A, Fairview beating Waverly 34-25 to improve to 2-2, 1-0 on the region. Stewart County beating McEwen 28-26. Cheatham County 1-3 beating Creekwood 20-14. Sycamore 3-1 right there beating Hunters Lane 14-12. East Hickman 0-4, 0-1 in the region, lost to Lewis County 48-27. Camden 1-3, 1-0 in the region, beat loses to McKenzie 29-14. Harpeth 2-1, 1-0 in the region, beats Hickman County 62-43. What sticks out to you?
Well, two things, but the surprise is Fairview beating Waverly 34-25. That's a great win, big win for them. The one that Harpeth scoring 62 points on Hickman County, man. That's no good.
They gave up 43, though. They gave up 43.
That game couldn't have been over till 10-15.
Yeah, unbelievable. That's our region roundup right now. We think that it's important to give you the region roundup because we have so many different WCS sports conferences spanning across all these regions to keep us up to date. It's going to be good because most of the teams will be playing in the region again to give us an idea who's going to be kind of those front runners for those top 4 spots. This week's game, Fairview 2-2 going to hosting Hickman County, who's 2-2, beat Waverly. Of course, you just said they lost to Harpeth, giving up 62 points. Can Chris Hughes keep it going?
Yes, I think they will.
This is a non-region game for them.
Yeah. And they need to. Obviously, it's good that they got the offense, playing better than they did early in the year. So obviously, Hickman County is going to give up some points. So I think they go in there and if they can continue to do the things they're doing, which I think they will, keep getting better. I think they can score points and get them, yes. Can't turn the ball over.
Hickman County's defense, they did lose their 6'2", 230 defensive end, Dalton Parks, for the season due to an injury, but 62 points.
He must have been quite the player.
He was a good player, good-sized kid, defensive end. All right, Page 3-1 at Lawrence County 1-3. Of course, we said Page had the big win at Forest. Lawrence County lost to Columbia. We seen any hang-ups there for Page?
No, but Lawrence County, they're going to be bigger. They're going to try to be physical. They're going to try to control the ball, eat up the clock. So they've got to be able to make sure they maximize their offensive touches, and no turnovers. But, yes, if they go in there and play the way they should be able to get the Magochi and the boys out by the 4th quarter.
Well, the Rebellion will be strong. Unfortunately, they're coming off a loss. That is Ravenwood coming off a loss, which is, I don't even know how to say that, right? We haven't said that in so long. Ravenwood going to Franklin. Now, interesting matchup. I just think that poor Franklin, the Rebellion, may be catching the wrath of a week off of being prepared, and Will Hester being upset at the fact, and the kids being upset if we can right the ship. Ought to be interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. I really don't know what to think of Franklin yet. I think they're getting better. But if they can stop the passing game against Ravenwood, then they got a chance.
Absolutely. And last but not least, a WCS border battle. WCS game day will be there. Independence undefeated. Old Sparty coming in 1-3. Beat Smyrna. Independence with a great win there of a non-region undefeated Smyrna team. Summit coming off a 41-3 loss. I don't know what to say about Old Sparty.
It's a game you got to get better.
But you know what? You've got to throw out, hey, that's why they play the game. That's what Dale said. Let's pump the brakes on this for just a minute now. If they can figure out a way to run that wing tee offense and get first downs against that defense, they can keep it slow, low, and ugly. Good luck with that.
That's going to have to be the game plan.
I mean, I don't know any other way to do it.
Stand over there with a stopwatch and don't snap it till it gets to 1.
Absolutely have to. Brentwood, Dixon County. I think that Brentwood right there gets himself back in the winning side of things. That is a region game for them. That is that moves them 2-0 in a region.
Yeah. This is a game they need to be successful in. It couldn't come at a better time.
And now, of course, they did lose to Franklin. Dixon County beat Spring Hill. I think Spring Hill, like you said, could be in a tailspin. Dixon is going to be better. But I really, truly believe that this is a game that Brentwood goes on and beats Dixon County to go 2-0 in the region. Centennial 3-1, 1-0 against Clarksville Northeast, 2-2, 0-1. They did beat Kenwood, Northeast did, and a good win for those guys. But I think Centennial right now is just before hitting their stride.
We'll find out how mature this team is. If they come and show up and take care of business the way they should be okay. But Clarksville Northeast, they're not great. They're not world beaters, but they are athletes. They are athletic. They've got some athletes on that team. So they need to show up and do what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely. It's time for pick'ems. All right. Right now, as it sits on the year, you're 14-3. I'm 11-6. We're going to see what happens this week for pick'ems. Fairview versus Hickman County. I know you're thinking right now I'm going to be the sentiment favorite for Hickman County. Are you kidding me? The Jackets go in and sting Hickman County. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Yellow Jackets too. I mean, 62 points against Harpeth. That's all you need to say.
Absolutely. Chris Hughes gets his team turned around and continue that winning streak there. Extends it to 2 games in a row. Page at Lawrence County.
I like this team. Coach Bone gets the win, but it's not an easy one.
I agree 100%. This could be a trip-up game. You better be careful. Michael Roberts, Michael Magochi, I'm sending you a message right now. Be mature, be leaders. Go out there and treat this game just like it would be if you're playing that Battle of 840 game or any other game that they played. Make sure it's important. Cross the T's, dot the I's. Page gets a hard-fought victory right there. I agree with you. Franklin versus Ravenwood.
It's the toughest one. It's hard to go against Ravenwood, but they're coming off a loss. I think they bounce back and get the win, but I don't think it's an easy win, no.
Ooh, absolutely. I thought you was going to go with the Rebellion there. Even though it's at home, Ravenwood bounces back. Will Hester, no way they lose 2 in a row. Ravenwood wins that one. Brentwood versus Dixon.
Brentwood gets the win, and it's a needed win. They need to have a successful game. They will against Dixon.
I agree. I think this game could have not come at a better time right there. Bounce back, get that victory. Puts them at 2-0 in the region, right there in the driver's seat for the top 4 spots. Centennial versus Clarksville Northeast.
The Cougars roll, but not as big as we might think. But they roll and hopefully able to get Tyrell a little rest in the 4th quarter. He needs it.
I'm going to agree with you too. We're not going to differ on any of these games this week. At Centennial right now, like you said, it's going to be interesting. I want to see. I'm going to send the same note to Tyrell Dotson and those guys. Treat this game like any other game. Get yourself in position to make sure you get a home playoff spot. I think Centennial wins by a little bit more comfortable margin than what you're giving them credit for. Last but definitely not least, the border battle. Rival week returns this week. Independence versus Old Sparty at Summit. Who do you have?
Well, Independence. They're playing really, really well right now, and Summit is. It's just not a good matchup for Summit. The Eagles win.
I agree. Old Sparty, first time ever. I brought my little guy so I can stick it in my pocket. If you get scared, get in my pocket. That's what I always say. Independence, too much right now. Number 1 in the state. They roll on for the win. This has been WCS Sports Connection. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.